Hi everybody, it's Mr. Rooney here, and we're just going to do a little instructional video on topic 8.3, and we're going to be using the distributive property here a little bit. So we're going to do a reminder how the distributive property works. Pretty simple. We take our coefficient out in front of the bracket, and we're going to have to use it twice. So we're going to multiply x by x, and don't forget when we do that, we get x squared, right? The 1 and the 1 combine to make the 2. And then we'll come back and we'll do x by 4, and of course that would make positive 4x. Another little example here, we have 3x by x, so the coefficients are 3 by 1, so that makes 3, and then the 1 and the 1 make x squared. Come back, 3x by 4, we're multiplying the 3 by the 4, we get a positive 12, and we have the 1x there. And the last little example, we have 2 by x. Excuse the bell in the background. We don't have a variable here, or excuse me, a coefficient, so it's 2 by 1 and then 2 by x. So we have 2x and then come back, and we have 2 by positive 4, which is positive 8. So that's just a little reminder of how we handle the distributive property. Now, how that would look like in an equation, not a whole lot different really, just that we have this equals 12 on the other side of it. So we can solve those pretty easily. We're going to have 3 times x, and we're going to have 3 times negative 4. So 3 by x is 3x, 3 by negative 4 is negative 12, and we'll just drop that down, equals positive 12. Then from there, we will have our canceling of the negative 12 with the positive 12. We'll add 12 on that side. And so we'll have 3x equals 24. And of course, we just simply divide by 3 both sides, and we end up with x equals 8. So not too much of a jump from where we were. Another example, this time we'd have a decimal. And in this case, we would have, same idea, 2 by x, and then 2 by decimal 10. Think of that as 10 cents if you like. So 2 by x would give us 2x. 2 by decimal 10 would give us decimal 20, and we have decimal 30 there. So again, no big surprise here. We take decimal 20 away from both sides. That's gone. And we have 2x equals decimal 10, which again sort of represents, if you want to think of it as 10 cents, sometimes that's easier. We divide both sides by 2, and we have x equals decimal 0.5. Another one, same idea, 2 by x, 2 by decimal 25 gives us 2x, positive decimal 50 equals decimal 54. We would subtract decimal 50 from both sides, and that would leave us 2x equals decimal 0.4. Divide both sides by 2, and we have x equals decimal 0.2. So that's very similar to the one we just saw. So to go step it up a little bit here now, we have some fractions, and we also have the distributive property. So don't get scared. We're going to handle the distributive property first. So we're going to go 3 times x, and then 3 times 1 over 20. So that looks a little bit scary. Now I'll do the first one first. 3 times x is going to give us 3x. And how do we get 3 times 1 over 20? Well, let's do 3 times 1 over 20. Let's make that 3 over 1 if we like, and we end up with 3 over 20. So we have 3x plus 3 over 20 equals 9 over 10. So really not too bad if we think about that. So again, that was 3 by 1 over 20 gives us 3 over 20. So from here, we've talked about having common denominators, right? Once we see that second fraction, so we'll get a common denominator, put that over 1. We'll go to 20 as a common denominator, 3 over 20. And that makes 18 over 20. And that's going to be 60x over 20. Okay, so we multiply both sides by 20. So we can get rid of our fractions now. We have 60x positive 3 equals 18. We would subtract 3 from both sides. 60x equals 15. We would divide both sides by 60. And again, don't be afraid to leave this as a fraction. 15 over 60. Oops, sorry. 60. And we could pull that down to lowest terms of 1 over 4. Okay, another one. We do have two fractions, and we can get common denominators here, but I'm going to teach you another thing. What we can do here is we're going to multiply by the lowest common denominator. So essentially it's the same idea, but I'm going to show you this trick. So we have a 5 and a 2. So our lowest common denominator is 10. So here's what we're going to do. We can do it a couple different ways, but I'm going to show you what I think is the easy way. So we multiply both sides by 10. I'll do the right-hand side here since that's the easier of the two. Multiply that by 10. 10 over 1. We could even see a cancel there with a 1 and a 5. Get this out of the way, sorry. And so we would end up with 3 by 5 is 15. 1 by 1 is 1. So I'm just going to leave it as 15. Why put a fraction in if we don't need to? On this side, let's cancel here. So 5 and 10. So I have 1 and 2. And because I'm multiplying now, I'm going to have 2 multiplied by this guy. This guy needs to be thought of as one thing. It's no brackets there, but it's almost like it's in brackets. Okay? So back up a couple of things here. So we really have to multiply 2 by the t and 2 by the negative 1. So 2 by t gives me this. And what most people forget is this second one. Most people forget to multiply the 2 by the negative 1. So let's try not to be one of those people if we can. That gives us negative 2. Well, gee, that's not a hard problem from there now. We just simply have to add 2 to both sides, and we get 2t equals 17, and divide both sides by 2, and we get 8.5. So you might want to rewind this one if it sounded confusing. We get the common denominator for 5 and 2, which was 10. We multiply both sides by that 10. When we do that, we cancel the 5 with the 10, and then we end up with 2 and multiply the 2 by both parts of that. That binomial has to be treated sort of as one expression. Here's another one on that, just to review it again. So we're going to look for our lowest common denominator, and we're going to multiply by that lowest common denominator. So that, of course, is 10. So multiply this side by 10. We could cancel. We would have 1 and 2, so we end up with 3 by 2 makes a 6. When we multiply this side, the left-hand side by 10, so we cancel again. So we have 1 and we have 5. So this whole thing, even though it's not in brackets, it could be in brackets, right? So we want to multiply the 5 by the x and the 5 by the 1. I think that's the easiest way to do it. We end up with 5 times x and 5 times 1. And then, of course, we're pretty good from here. We should be hopefully pretty good from there. We end up with 5x plus 5 equals 6. We end up with 5x equals 1. Divide both sides by 5. And we get x equals 1 over 5. Again, don't be afraid to leave it as a fraction. I think that's my last example. Oh, here's one more example. This one's not actually too bad, although it might look kind of bad. Even though there's just one fraction here. So what I would do is take this and cancel it by multiplying by the very same thing, negative 1. So that cancels and cancels. So we have to multiply this side by negative 1 as well. So we end up with y positive decimal 385. And of course, multiplying this by negative 1 simply just changes the sign, decimal 456. And it's pretty easy from here. We can take and do a negative 385 and a negative decimal 385. We get 56, 15, 71. And so our answer is y equals decimal 71. So that one, if it had a second fraction here, if we would have seen another fraction underneath here, we could have gotten that common denominator. But because we just saw the one fraction, we just simply used this guy to cancel out that. And that's it. Okay, well, hopefully that's helpful. They are tricky a little bit, and they're a step up, but you can do it. They get a little bit easier each time. Thank you.